Hi everyone, welcome to our lecture 9.1. And what I want to start using here inside of our practice.py file is some of the code that we can use for the parsing of HTML. So these items up here will usually be provided for you, but what I want to do is try to reference them down here as well. And whenever we want to parse a URL, we can usually just create a variable called URL and set it equal to the string of the URL we want to use. Now the from URL dot request import URL open. It's already written it for us here, so we don't need to retype it. What I'm going to say is content is going to be equal to URL open. And what do I want to open inside of this content? I'm going to try to open my URL. Now, if we simply run this code and we print our content, you'll notice that we actually get it to be a HTML request object. And now what I'm going to say here is I'm actually going to redefine content again. So I'm going to copy down content one more time. And instead of just opening my URL, what I'm also going to do to it is read the URL. So I'm going to use this .read method. And now if I reprint content one more time, you'll notice, you'll notice what I get this time is a bunch of text that's squeezed. So if I open this, it might be a little slow. We actually get all of the content that's there. And you'll notice that not only do we have the HTML code, we also have the /n/r and so forth. And really, those are like new line characters or break characters that might not make our code work too well. So what I'm going to do now is not only am I going to open my URL, and then am I going to read it, I'm also going to use this method called decode. And what the code will do for us is essentially get rid of those lines that we see there. So this one is squeezing 2311, that's the URL.read. The decode method, if we open up this guy now, sorry about that. We'll see here now that I have this much better option of having all my HTML code laid out into a way that's much more effective, and I don't have the /r's or the /n's there. So that is what our decode method will do for us. And now you'll see here that we have this interesting little end part here. We have this thing called parser. Parser is just a variable name. You can call it P, you can call it whatever you'd like, but it's going to be set to an object called HTML Parser. And what I'm going to feed to that parser is the word content, or the content of the HTML code that I just got from doing this code up here. So I'm going to comment out my previous print statements because we don't need them as much. And if I run this code, we'll see, maybe I could try something like parser. We'll see that we get the object, but we'll notice that we don't have anything happening. And what's happening here is that the handler methods of the parser class are meant to be overridden by the user to provide a desired behavior. So again, all of these are things that we can use ourselves. And if we don't have them manipulated for us, it's not going to work as well. So again, there's a few methods provided for us that we need to override so that we can get the requested output there. Now, for instance, there's a few things like handle start tag. If you encounter the start of a start tag of a HTML piece of code, you'll do something. Otherwise, you could do some end tags as well. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a look at this HTML.parser.py file inside of our programs. And one of them here, you'll see here that I have this new class called collector, and this collector class is of type HTML parser, and it has this function called def of handle start tag that is going to use our own items. All right, everyone, so you'll notice that if I have my parser item created, and if I try to do anything with it, let's see if we can get any piece of information here. There's a few handles of data, handle start tag. Let's try to see if we can handle a start tag. You'll notice that we'll just get the method, and if I try to provide it some methods or attributes, it's giving me a few different items. What's happening right now is that we are using this parser class, but all the protocols that are a part of it, such as handle start tag, like this one that we see right here, handle end tag, and handle data, are all methods that need to be overridden. So what happens here is that handle start tag will be invoked when opening an opening tag whenever we encounter it, but we need to do something to override that so that it occurs. So to actually account for this, we're going to take a look at this HTML Parser.py file inside of your lecture notes here. And it's this, it says in class there, but it's pretty much the same one. We can open up this guy, and you'll notice here that we build up our code a little bit differently. So this piece of code is identical to what we already did previously inside of our lecture. We can see here that we get content is equal to the URL open.decode, but you'll notice that we're actually doing something a bit differently. We're creating parser is equal to collector, which looks like an object, and we're giving it a URL. So what's actually going on here? We'll see that the class of collector is this type of object that is built in, it's a custom created object. But what do we remember happens when we put an object inside of the parentheses here? We inherit from it. So this class is actually a subclass of the HTML Parser class, which is this big guy that has all of these things a part of it. He's kind of like the head honcho. So we'll see now that we create an init here. It looks like we made some self.links as well, and then we made something called self.url is equal to URL. So these are all very interesting to look at, and we'll see here that if we try to actually run our test parser, what happens is we say def of test parser URL, we feed it into content from the URL, we create a URL object, or excuse me, a collector object, and then we feed it into that collector object the content that we just made. So let's actually try to see what happens here. If I run my method called test parser and I provided that URL, which was Stack Overflow, I believe. We'll now see that I get this test parser outputted for us. I get a bunch of lines with it. And if I look at it, it looks like I'm encountering every time I get this start tag, something happening with my data. So what we could also do here is let's try to manipulate this a bit more. Why don't I try to say self.pcount is equal to 0. And with my start tag, not only am I going to be looking for the tags of A, I'm going to check if a tag is equal to P. I'm going to increment my p count by 1. This equals 1. And what I'll say here is I'm just going to make a method called getPCount of self. This is stuff that we've already done before with the other guys there. And so I'm going to run this one more time. I'm going to say test parser of this URL. And then I'm going to say, let's see here. I believe, did it make us a parser object during that? Let's try to do test parser.url. A is equal to, I'm going to create a new parser manually, and I'm going to set it equal to the collector of this URL that's right here. And then I'm going to say parser dot feed this content that I created earlier. Oops, content isn't being made for us. Let's paste this URL. There we go. So now I fed in the content from that URL that's right there. And let me try to say parser.getPCount. And now we'll see that I have 37. So what this tells us is that we have 37 start tags that start with P inside of the content that we fed into it. And again, these tags are for any piece of HTML that's there. And again, it's a bit kind of convoluted getting it to work because we have to rely on this concept of inheritance in order to make it. But definitely take a look at this and play around with it a bit more as well. So we can see here that we can override all the methods that are a part of it. And we also see here that if we have a test parser with some of these encountering of items, we can manipulate it a bit as well. We'll see that this my HTML parser doesn't have an init here. So let's try to work with this HTML parser really quick. Let's relaunch our code here. And what I want to do is I'm going to say parser is equal to my HTML parser. But again, what do we need to do? We need to, because this init doesn't have much of anything going on inside of it, we might be able to just make it right away. Let's see here. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the content again. So I'm going to say content is equal to URL open. Open that URL that we were using earlier, .read.decode. And now that I have my content, I can say parser.feed, and I'm going to feed in that content. And now you'll notice here that I'm getting a ton of stuff from my website that's working with it. So this is how a parser would work for us. And again, based on the way that we implemented it here is how we're going to be implementing it elsewhere as well. You can see here, encountered a path end tag, SVG tag, a P tag. And let's go ahead and take a look at how this code is working. We'll see here in my HTML parser that I am given a few attributes of tag and ATTRS, which is attributes. And what is tag and attributes again? Where did we see those words before? Oh, well, if we scroll back up into our HTML code, see here, we see that we have the word, I believe it was up here somewhere, right? Tags are when we have these brackets, and then we have attributes, which is like that href, a source attribute. So an attribute, again, is something like this, where we have source is equal to cookie.jpg. That's an attribute of the tag that is called image. In general, a rule of thumb is that whatever comes immediately after that open bracket is a tag. If there's a space after that thing that comes immediately, it will be an attribute. So that's a good rule of thumb to remember for this. And again, please take a look through this code. The one thing I want to leave us again is how do you actually get this to run for us? Well, what we could do again is all you need to do, you can use this test parser method that's given to you inside of these methods as well. But what I really want to showcase is that if you go ahead and do something like test parser is equal to, and what you need to set it equal to is one of the classes that is pre-made for you or one that you made yourself, such as my HTML parser. You could say parser is equal to my HTML parser. And you'll notice that I'm not giving it any tags or any parameters because we don't have an init there. And again, what happens here with this end tag, what happens if I delete this end tag? Well, what will happen is that I'm only going to encounter the start tag from there. So what we could also do here is I'll go ahead and every time we create HTML parser, I'm going to provide no parameters, but I'll say start tag, like so. I'm going to say it equal to 0. Self.end tag is equal to 0. And you know what? I'll actually I'll uncomment these. Let's leave the print statements for the time being because that shows a lot of things going on. Every time that we encounter a start tag, I'm going to increment up how many start tags that we have in our code. Every time we encounter an end tag, I'm going to increment how many times we encounter that in our code too. Now what we could say here is, let me save this and run it one more time. I'm going to say, okay, create a parser that is equal to this custom parser class that I made. Now what I want to say is, can you go ahead and looking at stackoverflow.com, how many start and end tags in HTML are in this website right now? Well, how do we do that? Well, first of all, or the next step that we need to do is to feed this parser our HTML content. So how do I feed it that content? Well, we'll set our URL equal to that website. We'll say content is equal to URL open. We're going to open the URL object we just made. We're going to read it in, and then we're going to decode it so that it works properly for our parser. And then what I'm going to say is parser.feed. And when am I going to feed it? My content. Now, everyone, when this parser.feed content method runs, what it's going to do is it's going to run these commands all the time during the duration of this feed command. Okay, everyone, so let's try and see how this can run for us. And what I'm going to do to make this a bit easier for us as well, I just went ahead and I created this content to work right away. And now after I create my content of my URL, I'm going to say parser is equal to my HTML parser. And then I'm going to say parser.feed. And I'm going to feed it that content that I just created. Now it looks like we're getting this error. My HTML parser object has no attribute raw data. And what's happening here, it looks like our attributes are missing. So whenever we're making an init, And for instance, this is a big difference between what we just had earlier. So again, if I comment these inits out and I comment out these attributes of self.start tag, and I try to rerun our code that's right here, it's working perfectly fine because this is pretty much a child of the HTML parser class right away. However, as soon as I make an init here, we need to make sure that we're calling the constructors in it as well. So what we could say here is we're going to say html.parser.inits, just like we did earlier, get the constructor of my parent class and create it as well. Now what can we do here? Well, let's try to copy in our content again. Let's try to make a parser, which is equal to my HTML parser. And then let's do a parser.feed. And what am I going to feed it? I'm going to feed it my content. And lo and behold, I'm getting the code to run perfectly fine. It might take a little while because this is Stack Overflow. Apologies, I'll put it on the side until it stops running here. Okay. And now we'll see here that it stopped running. And I'm going to say parser, which is my object. And then I'm going to say, can you get the amount of start tags I have? There's 934 start tags inside of my code. So how many I have my end tags are there? There's 876. So this is, again, one way that you can use these HTML parsers. Your questions are going to be kind of similar to this. And again, notice that like the errors that we encountered here are something along the lines of, okay, if I don't have these files set up properly, I would need to make the constructor. If I'm not referencing anything where I make an init inside of my custom class, I don't need to worry about it. As long as I'm inheriting from my parent over here, it should work just fine.